Welcome back, Creek. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Blake, your anchors for KPAN.
Let's get right into the news. This week, there are many different events going on. For example, today, people are rocking their purple and teal clothes for Dress Up Day. Also, student officers, don't forget there is an officer meeting after school today. Students, if you don't have a tie-dye shirt by now, make sure to get one before this Friday for our tie-dye pep rally.
Student Council is organizing an event with the other high schools in our district. Kick Hunger is a fundraiser to combat the growing impact hunger has on the world. During this event, Student Council members will be going around during football games asking for donations to fight hunger. Help us reach our goal of $2,000 by the end of this season. Now, let's have a word with Dr. Stickler.
Good morning, students. Welcome to September 12th and a great week ahead of us. I want to go through a little bit of what's coming up. I know today is Suicide Prevention Awareness Day, so thank you all that are wearing teal or purple for that cause. It's a very, very important cause, and make sure if you are feeling down, if you're feeling or considering suicide, or if you have any friends that you know are, that you are immediately speaking to one of our counselors or one of our other adults on campus. That's so important. We care so much about each student here. We want to make sure that you're all safe and that you're all okay. Okay, guys, so this week is kind of cool. We start our voting for homecoming. Okay, so you'll be able to nominate people. The nomination process opened this morning. You'll be able to nominate people for Duke and Duchess of your grade level or for King or Queen. So the nomination process will close on Thursday. Make sure you're doing that nomination process. Tuesday this week, we've got tennis versus Willis and volleyball versus Willis here at the school. That's tomorrow. Also tomorrow, PTO meeting at 4 p.m. So if you have a parent that's interested in PTO, make sure that they come up here. They can go to the PTO meeting and then go to the volleyball game or watch the tennis match afterwards, pick you up at the same time. It all kind of works out really well. On Wednesday, if you're a junior, we're having a class meeting with Herf Jones, second period in the gym. Herf Jones is who does our class rings. So you finally get to order your senior class ring, and they'll explain a lot more about the process at that time, but it's a really cool deal. So second period on Wednesday, that's a big thing going on for juniors. Thursday, we're going to root for our cross-country teams. They'll be competing at Willis at a tournament, so thank you. Good luck to your boys and girls for our cross-country there. And then at 6 p.m. on Thursday night, we have a 10th and 11th grade parent meeting in the auditorium. Tell your parents, show up. It's really important to be there. A lot of good information about colleges, about careers outside of school, and how to make sure that you are on track in order to be able to do one of those things when you graduate. Our JV football team will also be playing Grand Oaks here at Caney Creek. On Friday, got some really cool stuff. Wear a tie-dye. We have our Tie Up the Grizzlies Day that day. It's also the end of the 6 weeks progress report. If you're failing as of Friday, September 16th, then you become ineligible on Friday, September 23rd. That's the day of homecoming. So if you're a football player, varsity player, you won't get to play in homecoming game if you're failing on Friday. Make sure you're making up all your work. If you're in any kind of event, any kind of UIL event, speech, debate, cross-country, volleyball, any of those things, you have to be passing all your classes on Friday. And if you're not involved in those, you want to be passing your classes anyway, because we know you want to get credit. And each one of these checkups, if you're passing at each checkup and each progress report, then that'll really help you stay on the right track and get credit for all your classes at the end of the year. On Saturday, remember seniors, that's our parking spot painting day. We'll also be here on Sunday to help be available so that you can paint your parking spot. We'll also have a car wash for NJROTC on Saturday. So a lot of really good stuff is going on this week. Excited to be here. Keep your grades up. And now we have a word from our sponsors, the Student Council.
Well, it's a nice shirt. Where'd you get it from?
Thanks, bro. I got it from Stuco. Get your shirts for this Friday.
I gotta pick one up myself.
Go pick one up.
All right, kids, now it's time for our dad jokes. I know we have dad jokes on Friday for announcements, but we also have a KPAN dad joke. I've got my hat. I wear my hat on Fridays too. I don't know if you can see me through the speakers in your classroom, but I am wearing my hat and I have my dad joke mug. This week I have a really funny one for our KPAN dad joke. It is, did you hear about the guy who stole the calendar? He got 12 months. Oh my gosh. That is so funny. I love it. I hope you guys thought it was as funny as I did, and I hope you have a great week here at Caney Creek High School.
Yesterday marked 21 years since the tragedy that happened at the World Trade Center that took countless lives and injured many. We would like to take a moment to reflect on 9/11. We interviewed some of our teachers and asked them to share their firsthand experience of what that day was like for them. Thank you to all of those who shared their stories with us.
What was I doing when I heard the news, and where was I? I was actually driving to the University of Houston to take a biochem test.
I was at Aviation Rescue Swimmer School in Pensacola, Florida. I was a lead instructor of one of the teams.
I was actually a flight attendant, so I was actually flying on an airplane. I was working.
I was actually student teaching. I had just dropped my kiddos off at their specials and I was walking past the library.
And my husband called me on a phone. Back then it was the old flip phones. And he asked me if I had the radio on and if I was listening to what was going on. And I had told him no. And so
my boss had come in and told me to go into our lounge area, which is affectionately known as the Shark Pit.
And the librarian pulled us into the back room to watch the video. It was crazy. We were all shocked. We had no clue what was going on. So we just had this kind of confused nervousness going on the campus.
And I didn't know exactly what was happening.
And so it was just kind of weird because we didn't really know what was going on.
But we got turned around mid-flight and we had to go back to Cleveland. We were headed to JFK in New York City.
And up on the TV, I saw one of the buildings, one of the towers burning. And as I was standing there, I actually watched the second plane hit the tower.
My reaction to the attacks, I was a little confused. I was a little angry. I was a little scared.
My reaction immediately was we were under attack.
Curiosity, and not in a good way, but like just what was really happening.
Shocked. It was there was a lot of misinformation at the time. They didn't really know what was going on.
I wasn't real sure how to react because I didn't really know the contents of everything going on. So it was more of an anxious fear than anything. I'd only been out of the military at that point for 3 or 4 years, so there was a lot of questions about was it an accident to start with? Was it an accident? Was it terrorist? And then as you sit in front of the TV and more information came, it was just a lot of like what now, questioning what was going to happen. So.
For one aircraft to hit a building, has it happened in the past? Yes, but they're mostly small aircraft, not an airliner. When I saw the airliner actually hit the building, I knew right then we were under attack. How did my life change? Like everyone else's. Our abilities to park close to work was stopped because we got to keep a distance to protect against terrorism. Getting on and off the base became much harder.
As a flight attendant, it changed drastically. All flights were grounded for like 3 days, so nobody worked. So that was just like an immediate change. but then everything they had trained us to do, they had to retrain us, and everything changed.
Yeah, how our world just changed. I knew that the next step was going to be that they were going to lock down the base we were on. I was thinking, how am I going to get home that night? I was thinking, you know, are they going to immobilize us? Are they going to take me out of being an instructor at Rescue Swimmer School and send me back to the fleet to go overseas? There was a lot of thoughts going through my head.
I was driving to University of Houston 4 days a week, and with it being a major hub, you wonder, you know, are you going into something that's more dangerous? You can't stop living your life, but you take a little more precautions, and you hug your family a little bit tighter, and you know, be thankful for the life that you do lead. You look at things a little different. That, you know, any type of tragedy like that, you just look at your own family, and then
I had more compassion for people I didn't know, because so many people were affected by it that I wasn't really sure who had been affected and how. So I just had a little more compassion.
So did I personally know anyone that was a part of the attack? And the answer to that one would be no. But I do know of one young man who was in my rate. He was an aviation warfare systems operator, first class, who had died at the Pentagon.
I didn't personally know anyone, but being in the airline industry, it's kind of like a big family. And even though I didn't personally know anyone, you can't help but think that could have been me. It could have been my flight. I was going to New York City at the time. I was spending the night in New York City. So you think of those things, and you think about the families they left behind, and even though you don't know them personally, it's still very tragic.
I did personally know people affected by this. Not anybody that was part of the attack, but my cousin ended up being sent to the Middle East for numerous tours during the war.
no, I didn't. There was all sorts of stories that, you know, of friends or family that knew this person or that person. I didn't actually know anybody from any of it. Do you want a little bit of story though? Like driving home that day, think about they had ground all planes from there. So I was in Houston driving home, and they had ground all the planes, and it was just this eeriness of my parents were in Dallas, and think about how they were very close to the Dallas airport, and there were no planes in the air except for those military jets. And that was just a very eerie feeling driving home that day. And my parents even talked about how driving around Dallas with no airplanes is just a very strange feeling.
It's just one of those days that I remember every minute of the day, and I remember getting phone calls and voicemails from friends because the grid was kind of frozen and you couldn't get a hold of people, and just the relief when my friends and family got a hold of me. And I just remember driving home from the airport that day. I just couldn't wait to be home with my husband and with my family. It was just, I knew life as I knew it had changed.
As students ourselves, we understand that we were not alive when 9/11 happened. However, this tragic day was a huge impact on our country, and it is important to honor those whose lives were lost that day. Thank you to everyone who participated in this episode by sharing their personal stories. Now let's move on to sports.
This week there is a Grand Oaks football game at Wood Forest Stadium, and also volleyball has 2 games this week, one on Tuesday and one on Friday.
Well, that's it for this week, Creek.
See you next week with our weekly news.